Yes, sir. How are you?
Good. How about you?
Doing well, man. Excited. Thanks so much for having me. This is great.
Yo, appreciate it, Steven. Dude, I think we've been trying to get this going the last like week or two just because I think scheduling conflict and everything, but glad we got this
Yeah,
working now.
that's awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for your patience. Appreciate
Yeah, totally. Where are you based right now, Steven?
it. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Oh, cool. I think I went to see Petersburg actually last year. Is it hot there right now?
Oh my lord, man. Yes, it's beyond a heat wave. I don't even know what is one thing above a heat wave? The sun? I don't know. Well, it's like yesterday. It was it was probably around like 7 o'clock, and I was trying to convince my family, like, hey, let's all go to the beach and they were just like, Dad, it's 99 degrees. And I was like, bro, touche. So we
89.
ended up waiting till like 8 p.m. to go because it was just that nasty. It was
Oh
just
no.
nasty.
Is there like Humidex on top of that 99 or is it just straight 99?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, no, no. It's very humid. I mean, unbelievable.
Oh.
Florida's always a swamp. You just got to assume it's a swamp.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's brutal, man. Yeah.
Oh, damn. Damn. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about here, Steven, because you've been busy, man.
Where are you based out of?
I'm based out of Winnipeg, Canada.
Oh wow, that's great. That's
Yeah.
really okay.
Have you been to Winnipeg before? I don't know.
Oh yes, the
Yeah?
coldest day of my life. I played Winnipeg. It was negative 15,
That's not
and
bad.
I the bus was parked probably like 6 feet from the venue door, and in that 6 week, your entire everything just freezes. And I was just like, good night. I was like, I didn't know how to. I was like, so I held my breath, like no, nothing can save you from negative 15. So that was the craziest. That was the coldest temperature I've ever been in by far.
Really?
So
Hey, we got to give credit to that, I guess, because it's Winnipeg for you.
yep, that's true.
Well, wait, what day of the year were you in for it, if you could remember? Was it like,
Oh, it was in January. That's
that's
all I've
fair.
got. You know what I'm saying? I'd have to go back and kind of
That's fine.
search exactly what year, but I want to say either 13 or 14. I'm not sure. I'd have
Oh,
to go
you're
back, or
good.
maybe 19. You know what? Let me go back and look. We played a lot of shows. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Played a
Yeah.
lot of shows.
Like you've had a career and then some, Steven. Like you've been going and going, going. Now it's just like now you're on like a little, I guess, little refresher now, doing like a little
Yep.
solo project now, which is good.
Yes. Yeah.
How are you liking that? Like, how are you liking doing like solo music on your own?
Oh, I love it. I mean, this is my fifth record with Anchor Braille, so it's
Hmm.
just definitely beyond a passion project. It's a part of me now. And so I don't think you can take songwriting out of the artist. I don't
Yeah.
think that's mutually exclusive. If once you start, it's always there. Now, whether you keep it going or whether you develop it, that's a totally different subject.
True.
But it's always going to be there. And so that's even when I handed over the reins to the whole all the guys, but especially Maddie, about a year and a half ago now. It was one of those things where I still knew I love music. I
Yeah.
love being in a band. I actually love being on the road. It's all
Hmm.
awesome. But there comes a season of life where it's just like, this is not that moment.
Okay.
And so I understood how much they wanted to tour and how little I wanted to tour.
Hmm.
And what was best for them and I love those guys dearly. So what was best for them is to get it back on the road, and I just could not commit to the amount of time that they wanted to. And so I called Matty Mullins out of the blue, and I was just like, "Hey, man, good to talk to you.
Hey.
Hey, do you want to join another band?" and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I wonder how many phone calls like this have ever happened. Where the singer's like, you know, excited. Usually the singer gets kicked out or he quits. It's bad blood. This is me on the sidelines, and I'm cheering. I'm rooting them
Right.
on. I want absolutely the best for them. So I hope their career just takes off. I hope they
Yeah.
sell billions of records. They're the
Oh,
biggest band in the world. There nothing would make me happier than if they just got a number one song on the radio. So that would be huge.
that's sweet. I love that. You don't hear that from a lot of people who are like, oh, I just want to work on my own stuff, and it's just like usually it's a lot of bad blood, and I'm happy that it's like no hard feelings, no nothing. Like You just wanted to take your own stuff and probably, I'm assuming, family stuff. I'm assuming, right? You have
Yeah,
kids,
absolutely,
right?
100%.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes a season where you just calculate in your brain just mentally, like, hey, I missed all the
Yeah.
first words and first steps and first
Oh,
smiles, and there's just memories I'll never get back. And it was one of those times of seasons of life where it was just unfortunately the negatives outweighed the positives, and there's so many
yeah.
positives being in a band. Those are great guys, great band members, incredible musicians, once in a lifetime opportunities. And it was just not my season of life.
Yeah. And you want to go for your next season, and that's, I guess, this your solo project, right? Because you've
Right.
been going, right? So you got a
Yeah.
new record, New Mexico.
Yep.
What? Why the name New Mexico?
So when I left, okay, I once saw this rock documentary. It was a true story. It was about like an '80s hair metal band. I can't, I don't even remember what documentary it was. This is,
Mm.
I probably flipping through the channels, and this singer of this band, he was very successful and had all this stuff. And then when the band ended, he like went and became like a forest ranger in the
Oh.
middle of nowhere, like Alaska. And I was like, man, that is the coolest thing I've heard, because it just felt like he wasn't like trying to keep the band going, and he wasn't trying to like be a celebrity. He was like, you know what? That season of life is done, and that's so cool. But now I want a whole different season of like, that was chaos, and I just want, a controlled environment here, So um, I love that. And so when I had the opportunity to move to New Mexico, it just felt like everything was coming together in my life. I think that whether you like it or not, I don't care if you're a podcaster, an artist, an entertainer, an actress, whatever the gambit is in this field, when you come to become, when you get to a certain level, you become that identity. You know what I'm saying? It's Stephen from Anberlin. It's not Stephen Christian. It's not the guy, the individual. It's
Right.
not the local guy in Winter Haven. It's not my friend. It's Stephen.
Hmm.
Did you know Stephen's in Anberlin? So
Yeah.
whether you like it or not, your identity is a lot intertwined with who you are. And
Hmm.
so New Mexico for me was getting over my divorce. Like whether even though we were amicable in the band, it's still a divorce. I had
Hmm.
been, I knew the bass player since the fourth grade. I've known the guitarist since he was 14 or 15, and the drummer since he was 12. And so we've lived a lot of lives together. We joked one time in the band that we spent more time with each other than our own brothers, our own flesh and blood. We calculated, oh my gosh, we spent, because we're with each other 24 hours a day. So it's a divorce.
Hmm.
And even though it was amicable, you still have to, you redefine yourself, redefine your future, redefine what are your dreams now, because your dreams all were around music, and now there's no music. So what are your dreams? What are your passions? What are your hopes? Who are you? And for I was married, and so who I was like waking up to this person, I was like, who are you? So I'm used to waking up next to Nate. He's like the next bunk over. We wake up, we open the curtain, what's up, man? Like that's who I roll over to. And so this is a complete kind of like relearning life. What are my daily routines? What makes me happy outside of the band, outside of touring? And so it's just, New Mexico was that for me. It was that escape. It was that I got a
Hmm.
chance to kind of learn who I was. And so
Yeah.
because of all of that, New Mexico very much, became a part of my DNA and my current then, but my history now. And even though we only lived there for 5 years, it had such a massive impact on the trajectory of my internal life. And so that's why New Mexico. That's a very long answer, but
Nice.
that's why.
What's it like living in New Mexico?
Well, when you read about it on Wikipedia, what you're going to see is like they're 50th in economy, they're 50th in education. The crime rate is insane.
Hmm.
Everything is decrepit. They're very, very dependent on the government. Like you work for the government. If you live there and you're, successful, or a successful person would be someone who works for Sandia Labs or UNM
Yeah.
or government or the government. So
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with those jobs. I'm just saying they're very dependent on, whatever the government's doing is kind of like how they get fed. And so that's what Wikipedia is going to tell you. But what that doesn't tell you is that culturally, it is unbelievably maybe the most diverse place I've ever been on earth,
Hmm.
except for like the Dubai airport, but I mean, you have Native Americans, you have Spaniards, you have the Mexicans, you have African Americans. Obviously, you have all these people, and they're just intermingled and vibrant cultures. And culture is celebrated. And, it's beautiful. There's tradition. Family is absolutely important.
Mm.
Um, it's called the land of enchantment for a reason. It's the sunsets are the most mesmerizing spiritual events.
Mhm.
It's huge towering mountains, the Sandia Mountains, the bottom of the
Right.
Colorado Rockies resides there, and then the Rio Grande cuts through the middle of the
No way.
of the city, and so it's beautiful. We lived in a
Mm.
little town attached to Albuquerque called Corrales, probably seven
Oh.
thousand people. It was a little village, little farming community, and it was just the most magical moments. And I told my wife, she knows, but I'm gonna die there someday. I want to go move back. I want to go back. I love it. It's so unbelievably peaceful, and so I'm enamored with it.
I liked Albuquerque when I visited last year. It was a cool city. Honestly, the food is great. Like New Mexico is a cool city. Just
Yeah,
driving past it and everything.
yeah,
There's a lot of different cultures, food that you could check out. Like I'm shocked more people just don't go checking out New Mexico. I think a lot of people
yeah.
just miss out on it, which is surprising.
Yeah, and there is a lot of crime, so people kind of watch Breaking Bad. They're like, I think I'll skip it and go to Phoenix, Arizona. But Santa Fe is incredible. There's pockets of it that are just will blow your mind, and unlike
Hmm.
any. I think when you're raised on the beach, like or near a beach, you love the mountains. If you were raised in
Right.
the mountains, you want to you're drawn to the beach. It's just
Mhm.
everybody wants what they don't have, so they come here. I'll go there.
See, living in Canada, you got nothing. You got no beach, no mountains if you're in the central part. So it's like you want a bit of both. So it's great.
That's perfect. There you
It's
go.
great. I love it. What was your easiest and hardest song to write on the new record, Steven?
The easiest were Sozo. They're like these 2-minute little snippets. I wrote three different kind of vignettes, if you call them, and those are the
Hmm.
easiest to write because once you wrote the first one, you understand the structure, chords, and the melodies and the harmonies on the next two. It was just more of a lyrical and how do I build off the last one, which was a fun, really really fun. So that was not hard. I think the hardest one to master for me was the production of Sweet Jesus Knows, because even though it turned out to be like the starting song on the record, one of my favorites, top two for sure. It took a lot because we had kept having to go back and reproduce, and
Mm.
what I mean by that is I was envisioning like 70s punk rock meets Elvis Costello meets, just I wanted like really harsh. I wanted you to like be like, I hate this. And then the chorus hits, I wanted to be melodic and raise you up. And suddenly you were just like, I just want to live right here. And then it goes back. And so I said, Chad, come sing with me, our producer, come sing these verses with me. And he did. And then he was just like, man, it's too much. It's over the top. I don't like it. He cut his own vocal. We redid mine, and made it prettier so that the verses, matched the chorus. And I hated it. I sat with it. I hated it. And then we did it again, him and I, try to make it prettier. And then he took his out just a little bit. I mean, he turned his down and mine up. And I was like, God, dude, just forget it. Let me hear the first time you and I just sang it.
Yeah.
And it's a mess. It's a mess of him saying stuff and talking over me and bang, 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 just making noises. And I was like, put our volumes the same and leave it. Do not touch it. This is how it is. You can mess with the chorus, make it as pretty as you want, but the verses, I need it to be just absolutely as dirty and raw as you have it.
Mhm.
Don't touch it. And so not that it was hard to write the song, but hard to produce the song, because there's that tension between man, I want the listener to feel good, but also, there's something. But what I was trying to get across musically, we weren't getting right away. It took us
Mm,
at least like a month to kind of like do it, get it to where it was, back, forth, and so finally he gave into the pressure. I said, I'll beat your face in, and he's scared. And no, I'm just kidding. If you're watching this, just kidding, just kidding.
how much demos did you have of just alone of that one song? I'm assuming then you probably had a lot then.
Yeah, I mean, at least, a few different demos, but once at least five different versions of that song are out, are on his hard drive somewhere.
Hmm.
So, yeah, at least five. But I think that the right one came through and ended up
Hmm.
on the record.
Are you like, maybe I should have put this one into this one? Maybe you're like still kind of back and forth still? You would think, or
No,
no? You're just like
no,
set in stone.
this
This
is
is
it.
perfect.
That was it. That was what it was supposed to be. That was the grand vision for it all, and
It's good.
it turned out as, I love it. It turned
It's
out
good.
so cool. And then I had my dad record the monologue at the beginning,
No
and
way.
I love how his part feeds right in, and it just hits. It starts out real. He sets the entire the production, and my dad set the entire mood for the entire, not only song but record. He's
Mhm.
telling you, like, this is gonna be a long one. This is a journey. You gotta stay with it. Don't let go. Try to catch it. Figure it out. And by the end of it, it'll all be worth it.
I love that. I love that you incorporated family into this. This is cool.
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
of course, you probably had bad days in the studio for this record or longer days. What was probably your worst day that you can remember for this record,
But when you
Stephen?
get closer, especially when you get Chad and I in a room, we have 5,000 ideas.
Mhm.
Put this here, do this, and that's really fun in the moment. But you only have the studio for so much time before your
Right.
money runs out, before the time runs out, before he's got to jump back onto a plane. And so the final few days are you just scrambling, and that's any
Mm,
producer. That's not Chad. That's unless you're Metallica, who spends like a year or whatever they got to do. That's crazy, a year.
crazy.
But unless you're some massive, massive band that can just afford it forever,
Mhm.
you have 5 weeks. You got to do everything in five
Mm,
weeks. Let's map it out, or 3 weeks, or whatever the case might be for your
yeah.
band. And so by the end, you are scrambling, and you're just like,
Right.
man, I hope this works. I hope we got these last few songs out of the way. I hope that song didn't need harmonies. I hope,
Hmm.
so that the last few days are the most stressful in any studio situation.
Yeah. Like I went with a band I think last year. I do photography on the side and everything, and I went with them for like a weekend session. And they always book like weekend sessions for producing and everything. And it's always like, yeah, last day of the weekend is just like, okay, we got to lay out on what do we have to get done? Because it's only like a weekend that they're doing it, right? Because that's all the time's booked. So I get it now, like how much you guys put into like the last bits, and it's just like, oh, maybe we forgot these symbols here. Maybe we forgot a
Yeah,
banjo here or something. It's just like,
yeah.
I feel bad for you guys because it's just like, I feel like it should be longer for you guys, but timing,
Hey,
right?
listen, the more records you sell, usually the longer it is. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of on the label, but it's also kind of on you. So you just gotta,
Right.
like we recorded our first record in less than 3 weeks. It was like maybe 2.5 weeks. That was Blueprints for the Black Market. And the second record, we got a little more. And the third record, you know what I'm saying? So you earn it. You earn that time.
Hmm. Cool. Are there any new themes or experiences you've experienced on this album that you haven't before in previous records? Maybe they were in Anberlin or your last solo record with Tension that you're like, this is great to touch on for this one.
I mean, a lot of this is new. I don't think we've ever had trumpets on a record. I
Hmm.
don't think we've ever had a mariachi band. We had a R&B soul, singer. He was incredible. We had a lady speak Spanish in like a theatrical presentation. Um, this is all, I've never written a Western song,
Hmm.
cowboy song. The imagery is different, absolutely different than anything we've ever done. I would say this is the most, like, as far as like the universe of Anberlin and Anchor and Braille songs, this one is the most like out there record we've ever put out. So that, I, but that's what I wanted. I just
Hmm.
when you when you're working on your own passion project, at the end of the day, no offense to anybody else, but you're just trying to make yourself happy. And because that, if you write, I've heard it said, if you write a song for one person, you'll reach 1,000. But if you try to reach 1,000, you'll reach no one. You know what I'm saying? Because you're
Hmm.
trying to make it so poppy and so,
Yeah.
you know, easily accessible. Well, that one person in this case was just me, and I knew that it
Hmm.
would resonate, or people would at least catch the vision if I was like being absolutely genuine and sincere. I've noticed that the songs that most people cling the hardest to, or resonates the most, are some of the most personal songs I've ever written about people they will never meet,
Hmm.
and
Right.
I say their names in the song, and still people are like, I get it, man, that's my song. And I'm like, actually, that has nothing to do with you. But they get, I feel like the more personal and real, people want to know that their own personal human experience is normal. We just want
Hmm.
to hear we're normal, that you've had the same feelings of hurt and despair that I am. And so when I say, hey, I don't feel normal in this scenario and situation because I interpret loneliness like this, they go, I interpret loneliness like that. Oh my gosh, I feel human. I feel seen and heard. So that's why, a lot of these songs are just hey, this is it, this is the soul here, I'm just ready to bear.
I love that. I love that. For fans wise, it's been out for a week. How is the fans' reactions and I guess messages you've been getting, right? Because
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some negative out there, but I,
mm,
I mean, it feels like 100% positive. Like it's. I mean, the streams are going great. Vinyls are selling.
it's good.
People seem to be. I think it was. I'm quoting myself, so I hear it before I say it. But it was a slow burn. I think people needed to hear a song and be like, "That's atypical," and then need to hear another song and be like, "That's still atypical," and then they needed to hear like the album in its full, and they go, "Oh,
Yeah.
got it, I get it." But if you just hear one random song put into a playlist, you're just like, What is this?"
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know you were into, spaghetti western indie movie soundtracks. So it just feels out of the norm. But when you put it as a collection, when you get the thought, the reasoning, the logic behind it, I think it's easier kind of like, got it. Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Do you like listening to records front to back still, or are you like, no, I need to listen to one or two tracks still from on their own
It
nowadays?
depends. It depends on the artist, because
Yeah.
the artist there's artists out there, and they know who they are. I'm not, and then
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with it, no shade. But they're making singles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're creating records for singles. They're going to put one song out, they're going to attach two, and then throw it out.
Yeah.
They'll write one single, attach two to an EP, and throw it out. And they keep doing that. And that's the algorithm of life right now. That's the
Hmm.
spot. That's Spotify. But then there's other artists, like you have Palace, Tycho, War on Drugs, National. They're still looking at like, you know what? I know what everybody else is doing, and I'll play that little game here and there, but I'm still going to write you a record.
Yeah.
And so it just depends. The artist tells me, it'll tell you, next time you go to Spotify, their algorithm, their Spotify, Apple Music page will tell you what they're doing.
Mhm.
You've got different artwork, and it's one song, it's a standalone, it just says single, and they've got 14 they've put out in the last year and a half. You're like, oh, okay, you don't mind if I just pick and choose. But I think there's something still, you know, um, great about an album, so you can get an absolute feel around, a holistic view of what the artist is trying to pull off when you hear
Mhm.
a complete record. Now, that being said, that sounds like, oh, that's super arty of you. I don't have a lot of time in life. And so it's like a book. I'll listen to four songs here and then four songs here. And then if I'm on a
Mm.
long road trip, I'll try to listen to all eight.
Mm.
So my intention though is to appreciate what the artist is trying to pull off, and listen to the whole thing.
Nice. Yeah, I'm still an album listener when I can, or even
Awesome.
general, like going to I guess a show before the show, listen to the record front to back, or out on a road trip. Still am, but I still occasional single here and there. But I try my best to like listen to an artist record, see what they wanted with that story, that idea that they had behind that record. Because like you guys did so much work into this for how many months? You gotta see what the
Yeah,
story is about,
it's true.
right?
It's true, man. That's good. Well, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
I wish
totally.
all listeners had
There's
that
not
kind of.
many of those nowadays, right? Because of, people are like, attention spans are like, yeah, let's do 2 minute songs, 1 minute songs now, right?
Right.
It
Yeah.
sucks.
And that's who they are, and that's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's what they want you to experience.
Hmm.
If they felt any other conviction, they would go the other way. But that's
Exactly.
okay.
Cool. What track on the record feels most personal to you, and why, Stephen, to that song?
Most personal is probably Corrales. That's where I lived, and it's just talking about the whole song is just how I even though I'm walking in one direction, I know that one day, that I'm going to be back, and it's just home. So that was just a glimpse into like the one of the most personal moments. And then some of the sozos where it's kind of like challenging people to live the best version of themselves. A little bit of that is just talking to me as a child by myself, is just saying, hey, if you don't have a family, go start your own. If you don't have any money, learn to mine from gold from stone, like stuff
Mhm.
like that. So just a lot of like I drop in autobiographical moments here and there.
Cool, cool. What were some of your influences for this project, you would say?
Yeah, I mean that's so. Um,
Because it's all over the place, right?
Yeah, it's all over the place. I mean, the number one would be my dad. As a
Hmm.
kid, he loved westerns, so he would make me watch them. And then, growing up and reading books like Old Country for No Country for Old Man, stuff like that. I was, and then moving to literally, moving to New Mexico is and just absorbing the culture, and that's my, coming through my past experience. I'm absorbing it, and I'm reflecting it into
Hmm.
music. But the one, there was, and I'm gonna look it up because I want to make sure that I'm getting it
Totally.
um, absolutely accurate. But I think the what gave me the okay, I can do this, and you know it's not going to be so far out that people are not going to catch it, was Lil Yachty. He came out with a record called Let's Start Here,
No
and
way.
if you listen to the first three songs, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I didn't rip anything off, I didn't steal, I didn't even borrow, but I heard that in 2023 and was just like, okay, at least I know that I'm not crazy.
Hmm.
It's more validating that I can head in this direction, and that people are going to be like, okay, So, but especially the song "The Ride," was monumental in the formation. So, and so I would guess the location plus Lil Yachty plus uh, you know plus my dad bringing me up watching spaghetti westerns.
I love that. That's so random, little yachty, but hey, everyone has different influences for different things, right?
Absolutely, man. It's
That's the
super
thing.
random. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to hear my songs and be like, "Oh, that reminds me of," or
it's
they're not
little
going to hear
yachty.
these, but it's just like this, inspiration, this moment
Hmm.
where I was just like, "Oh, oh, okay, I'm
Yeah.
on the right trail."
What music
So
have you been listening to lately?
my big one, I've already decided them, is Palace. I think they're
Oh.
incredible. They're really good. They've got some great music out there.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of like um, my favorite album by them, but they uh, they just came out of nowhere for me. I'm
Hmm.
I'm big into like um, anything that makes me feel something. You know what I'm saying? So it
Yeah.
could be you know it could be instrumental music. It could be, but they have a song called Live Well, and but the record, I think the standout record for me is So Long Forever and Greyhound. They just released an
Nice.
EP, two great pieces of art that I just discovered. They're not a brand new band by any
Hmm.
stretch of the imagination, but they're new to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just found them, and so that's pretty great.
Have you thought about doing like live shows, tours with this project, Stephen, and you plan on Anything soon, you would think?
So I've been offered several, what I'm saying, several shows and festivals and stuff like that. I if I was ever going to tour, it would be with Anberlin. What I'm saying?
Right.
Just because they deserve that. What I'm saying?
Hmm.
So for me to go and tour with Anchor and Braille looks like, were you lying?
Yeah.
Were you you're clearly away from your family. So, that feels a little dishonest. Um, and so, and secondly, to be able to pull off Anchor and Braille live would take a lot of work. And not that
Mhm.
I'm not willing to put in the work. I'm just saying, again, if I'm going to put in tons of work, it's writing the next Anberlin record, or what I'm
Right.
saying, or touring with them. They deserve it. They should get
Mhm.
my best, my time, my energy, my effort. And the record label knows this, with
Yeah.
whether tooth or nail, and I'm on Equal Vision. I tell them, like, flat out, like, listen, I'm not I'm not touring. I'm not going to
Mhm.
do it. I may play a festival here and there, may play I may live stream or something like
Hmm.
that. That's great. I'll do stuff like that. But as far as me, prepping, getting a tour bus, heading out, opening or closing or whatever, I think that would be a slap in the face to every single Amberlin fan. They would feel lied to. The band would feel lied to.
Mhm.
So that's just not going to happen.
No, no, I completely understand that, and just wanted to curious on what your idea was behind it and that, and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
I get it. Is there a song that you wrote that you're like you wish you never wrote
Oh, I mean, in all of my catalog.
in your whole entire career, Steven?
Oh
Maybe
my
even
lord.
your solo or even Amberlin. It's up to you.
Oh, yeah, tons. Tons where I wish I could just go through line item and just cross it off and just delete it forever. I mean, starting with Northern Lights, probably one of the worst songs ever written, period. And I'm just sad that my name is on it. That was on our record New Surrender. And there's many others from there. I just
Mhm.
felt either lyrically it was weak or musically it was weak. I just knew we could do better. I knew that it wasn't Amberlin. I knew that that wasn't the sound we wanted to go for. It may have been lazy or apathetic or just burnt out. We
Right.
had, there was some times where we had been on the road for like 2 years straight and didn't have the bandwidth or time or passion to create more music. So yeah, there's several, but that would be the number one song that I wish I
Okay.
could delete from life forever.
What would you do if you did get to be able to delete it? What would you do after that and be like, wow, I deleted it. What now?
Not tell anybody that that song existed. I would be quiet, go about my day, pretend like nobody saw anything, nobody heard anything. That would be you know, it's just that's one of those tracks in the car you just skip when your kids are listening. Like, okay, guys, let's just we're gonna turn. We're here. You know, something.
I love it.
They've never listened to it, but
I like
yeah, I would
that.
definitely
Cool.
skip.
Do you feel like you made some impact at some point to someone for music? I feel like you have.
I I believe I have.
Yeah.
I truly do. I think that if you really listen through interviews, even back in the day,
Mhm.
the whole what was propelling for me to stay in music was how inspirational it was for other people. And my message was the same. Even the last night of our in 2015 when we quit professionally, I said from stage, like, if I can do it, you can. I mean,
Mhm.
if someone like me from Winter Haven, Florida, this small nothing of a town, can figure out a way to see the world with his best friends and create art that's going to live on longer than him, you can too. What's stopping you from becoming a doctor? What's stopping you from becoming a ballerina? Whatever it is in life that you are dreaming of, what's in your way? If
Mhm.
anybody has an excuse, it's, man, I moved. I'm the chief of sinners. I am moved around every year for the first 13 years of my life. I made straight C's and D's.
Mhm.
There's everything was against me, and I just scraped my way, and luck and blessing and God and all of it. Life, it's all mathematical
Mhm.
calculation, but that works together. But it feels like, man, I if I can do it, anyone can do it.
I like that.
Don't
I love
don't
that.
count yourself out. You just cannot count yourself out.
Oh, no one should. Like we all have a different path that God has given us, right? And we just have to go along with that and see what we've been given, try along
Sure.
with that. It's different stories. Everyone has a different path to go about.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. What's your goal really with music for you, Steven? Where do you want to go basically in the next 5 years?
I don't know that, Mikey. I really don't. Like I'm, it's always been, your
Mhm.
hobby turns into your passion, and your passion turns into your profession, and then your profession loses both passion and hobby.
Right.
And so I am blessed to be back to the stage of this is just passion. I have no expectations. I may never write a song that comes out. I was texting with Chad just 3 days ago and just said, "Hey, man, if this is the last piece of art I ever put out, I'm so happy it was with you. And I'm so happy it was this record." And so, and he wrote back like, whatever, this isn't it. And I'm just, and I know I've
Yeah.
learned from Anberlin, my time there, never to say never. Um, but, because I said no, I would never play another show in 2015, and that was a lie. So many tours later realized, oh, I should never say that again. So I'm not saying no, but I am saying that right now, I enjoy just sitting at my piano and just playing music that will, I wrote a song just the other day and I'm like, and I have no plans and there's no purpose and there's no, oh, I got to show this person. No, I don't.
Oh,
I'm just going to do it for me,
aw.
and I'm sure you can hear in the background, one of my kids is playing the piano right now. And I love that. Let me just hand it off to them and let me, you know, if they want to learn, great. If they don't, great. I'm not going to push them any which way. But man, I am so lucky to have put out, I believe we calculated just the other day, within the last week, this is my 23rd release on a label, you know,
Dang.
23rd release. And so I mean, there's people out there that probably have zero releases. There's probably people out there that have, they're stoked to have one on some indie label.
Mhm.
Two is awesome. Three is incredible. Five is a career. Five is like, I have 23 releases. And so I feel like, not saying like I've done enough. That's not my heart. My heart is, bro, I had a great run. It was incredible. I feel blessed and honored that Mikey, that you're contacting me. After I decided to go into music at 15 years old, you're contacting me today in
Mhm.
2025. That's insanity. Like nobody has that. Nobody's that blessed. And I feel unbelievably grateful and lucky, and just that I've had this incredible opportunity. And so if this is my last record, I am so comfortably
Mhm.
at rest and at peace and at zen-like state of just, okay, that was awesome. And I have zero regrets. I did, our biggest goal in life was to sell over 15,000 records and tour to Atlanta, Georgia. Those were like, if
That's
we could sell
crazy.
Atlanta, if we can go to Atlanta, Georgia and sell 15,000 records, that would be, we would be that would be the craziest thing I've ever heard of. And so we beat both those, pretty fast. And everything after that has been just bonus time. Everything after
That's
that is just like, I'm living in a dream within a dream. That's what this is. So it's pretty incredible.
I guess you're enjoying like living in the moment, spending time with your kids now because they're probably I don't know how old your kids are, but you're
Yeah.
actually getting to see them like in their shoes now, actually
Yeah.
seeing what they're doing.
Yep. And I think it's kind of clicking now, like, wait, what did you do, Dad? So it's cool to be able to share the stories and be like, somebody came up to us today in the gym and was just like, "Are you?" And the kids are just like, "Oh my gosh, Dad, seriously." Yeah.
Do you
So it's cool.
do you get recognized very often out in public now, Steven?
If I'm in Tampa or St. Pete or a major city,
Hmm.
not usually, anywhere like small cities that we'll kind of visit, not really,
No.
but if it's a bigger city like New York or Disney World, for whatever reason,
Oh.
Disney World. And I think it's because, yeah, if you think about it, we were all in our teens or 20s,
Mhm.
and then we were all in our 30s, and then we have children. You know what I'm saying? So you're taking
That
your
makes sense.
children to Disney World, and then you're like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, the same thing you are, bro. I hanging with family. So
That's cool because it's
yeah,
just like, yeah, we grew up or people grew up with you guys, and it's just like, yeah, we're now at this age of like, hey, you're kind of like our same age, and it's just like, wow, our kids are kind of growing up with you. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, one of the funniest stories of Disney World was this girl came up to me and just like losing it, like not like abnormally losing it. So I hope she doesn't see this. So she wasn't. She was being just nice. She was being very fine. And then she's just like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool! This is the greatest moment of my honeymoon." And her husband standing there, and I was just like, "Oh, bro, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is the greatest moment of your honeymoon." Okay. No,
That's
I don't think
so
you should
funny.
say that in front of your husband. I think, kind of
Hey,
bad.
you never know. Internet's a funny place. Maybe they'll see it, maybe they won't. You never
No,
know.
you're right. You're right.
It's funny.
Pretty great.
If you could talk to yourself from a year from now, Steven, what would you like to tell yourself?
A year from right now, so I'm
Yeah.
talking to myself in just a year.
Yeah.
Oh, I would just say, have the whatever you're doing. I hope you're having the best time. I hope it's just you've made. Yeah, I hope it's just great. I hope you're. I will say, yeah. I hope you are. I hope you're happy. I
That's
hope you're
good.
happy.
Hopefully you're happy in here. I would hope so.
Yeah, I do too. I sure hope so. Yeah.
Describe yourself with one word. What would it be?
Gosh, I've never had to do that. Um, I would say the one word would be resilient.
Why that?
Um, just what I've faced in my life, it just feels like in so many ways I feel have been knocked over and knocked down, but I just keep getting back up, and I just
Yeah.
keep finding ways to get back up and live to fight another day. And whether that's childhood or careers or music or relationships or whatever, they're just it's a my power animal is one of those toys from the 80s when you punched it and it kind of fell over and it would stand right back on those beanbag kind of things. That's my power animal, whatever those were called.
I don't know if I know what that is, so that's new to me. But
It's because it was probably such a hazard that they
yeah.
probably banned it in the late 90s,
Mm.
but up until then, it's just a very rudimentary plastic bag filled with air and a weight at the bottom, and you would punch it and it would just stand right back up. So maybe I
Okay.
should just punching bag.
It's just a punching bag. Okay.
Punching bag, you'll move me for a second. I'll back.
What was your best piece of advice while doing music ever in your career? Like, what was the best advice that you got from a musician, I guess, label,
Oh
or anybody in general in your music career, Steven?
man, that's what's sad is I really didn't get a lot.
Really?
I really didn't get a lot of, and I was always quick to be the person giving advice because I
Oh,
felt like, man, I wish I could have cut a few, I wish I could have cut a few corners, as far
mhm.
as not having to always learn the hard way. And so I'm trying to think. I don't think there was another band out there that was kind of like guiding or mentoring us. There was
Mhm.
great friends and
Yeah.
people who believed in us and people who genuinely cared. So I don't want to. I'm not trying to be like, oh, woe is us, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
wasn't like that. But definitely, um, definitely wish there was like a mentor. I
Damn.
did have, we had people like tell us, bro, after two records, you're just going to be done. That's going to be it. You've peaked at two records. And so I was just like, oh, I guess that was it for us. And
Uh,
so we had stuff like that. People warning us about bad record labels and stuff like that. Just wasn't our experience. And
that's good.
so there was warnings,
Mhm.
but I wish there was more guidance or mentorship.
Yeah. That's completely fair. I'm glad that you had like no bad ill or anything with record labels because I've heard so many stories from people
Oh
and
yeah,
everything. But that's
yeah,
great that you haven't had anything, which is great.
yep.
Do you have anything planned for the rest of 2025?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, go and play a few shows with Anberlin. I'm excited about
Hmm.
that. Maddie's got to head off with Memphis Mayfire, and so tag in Team B, and I love it.
Nice.
I'm in. Second string quarterback over here. So when he's out, I can just jump right up into the occasion. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. Um, to be honest, like we've been building a church now since for 3 years, and so we opened that up 60,000 square foot church here, and we're open that up in November. So that's the big plans
Oh,
for us.
hey.
And then other than that, man, not really much. This summer was an incredible time, and so we knocked off all that I wanted to accomplish in 2025 this summer. Went to Mexico, went to France, went to England, went to Spain, and so I feel like I've this year we crushed this year. It was awesome.
You just completed everything.
I did. That was it. Yeah. Told my
Cool.
kids, I'm like, you're watching Dad peak in life. This is it. It's all from here.
You hit the climax and now you're good, basically.
I'm good. And scene. We're done.
And see. Well, that's basically seen, honestly, Steven. Unless you have anything else, do you want people, I guess, tell the people about the new record or anything of the
Yeah.
sort you need to say?
Go check out New Mexico by Anchor and Braille wherever you download music or listen to music. There's a vinyl that I'm really proud of. The marbling looks incredible. It matches the entire aesthetic. So if you got a record player or just want to collect it, check out Anchor and Braille's New Mexico on Equal Vision Records.
Cool.